Coming up today here on the Raiders Report, I'm going to tell you 6 players that deserve to get more snaps going forward for the remainder of the season here for the Silver and Black. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report, and I'm not going to sit up here and say that these 6 players that you guys see are players that are playing outstanding football. I'm simply just saying that where this season stands right now, there are certain players that we need to be able to evaluate a little bit more before the offseason ends up hitting. So we're going to go from 6. We're going to work our way down to 1. The number 1 player is the dude that I need to see the most of. Here, coming up at number 6, this might surprise you. Hell, it's kind of even surprising me. Jordan Meredith at offensive guard. If I would have told you that Jordan Meredith was a player that needs to get more snaps at this point of the season, I probably would have said that we'd be 2-7, which, well, we are 2-7. As it stands right now, Meredith has played in 241 snaps this season. He has started 3 games, which he has started at left guard, he has started at right guard, and quite frankly, he's been great at both positions. He was great back in the preseason as well, and the fact that he's going to be an exclusive rights free agent, which means if the Raiders want him back, they're going to be able to get him back. But, I want to be able to see if we can bring him back in terms of just being a reliable player in terms of depth, or we've seen it in certain situations before. A player like Greg Van Roten last season, everyone's like, that guy can't play. Jermaine Illuminor, that guy can't play. They ended up being pretty servable starters, and I wonder if a young guy like Meredith, if you get him in the right situation, because you can say what you want. When he's gone out there, he has played at a high level. If the Raiders offer him a 1-year contract at league minimum, he has to accept next offseason. He has to either accept it or he's going to sit out. Here's the thing. He's going to end up accepting that, and he can't negotiate with other teams because he is an exclusive rights free agent. So based on the fact that he's played so well this season, based on the fact that he's played well in the preseason, and based on the fact that you're going to be able to get him at a league minimum, why the hell would you not try to see a little bit more what you got in Jordan Meredith? He's played in 241 snaps. He's got an overall PFF grade of 84.4, a pass blocking grade of 82.4, a run blocking grade of 80.0. But you can look at the PFF metrics. You can turn on the tape. When everything aligns of stats, numbers, metrics, analytics, and it all aligns, it's like, this guy's pretty good. If I covered up the name Jordan Meredith right now and I showed you everything he's done on the football field from a tape standpoint, if I showed you his PFF grades, if I told you that he hasn't been penalized this season, that he hasn't allowed a sack, that he hasn't allowed a hit, that he's allowed only 1 pressure in 241 snaps, you'd go, is that Colton Miller? Is that Jackson Powers Johnson? No, it's Jordan Meredith. And because the rest of our offensive line is the way that it is, I'll tell you, I don't need to see Cody Whitehair anymore. That guy's 30-something years old. He's not going to be back on this team. I don't need to see Andres Pete anymore. That guy's getting up there in age. He's not going to be the future of the Raiders. The only other player that I might even consider on this list that you could give more snaps for on the offensive line, maybe somebody like a Thayer Munford. But I'm not going to put Munford at right tackle. That's DJ Glaze's spot. I'm not going to put him at right guard. That's Dylan Parham's. Obviously not going to put him at center. That's JPJ. Not going to put him at left tackle because, well, we saw what left tackle looked like for Thayer Munford last week, and not a lot of success there. Not a lot of great success. If I am going to use Thayer Munford in any spot, I'm going to try to use him at guard. So, would you want to be able to see a little bit of Munford? Sure. I also want to see a little bit of Jordan Meredith because we need to know what we have in our offensive line before we get into the offseason. If you're looking for content every single day, I got you covered. If you're a real one, if you don't know what a real one is, think of when somebody goes, are you a Raiders fan? Think about what that means to you. Raider Nation for life. A real one is somebody that we like to consider here at Chat Sports of you show up and do your job every day. The job here is a watcher of the Raiders Report, click that like button. If you're not already subscribed, you make sure you're subscribed. We're not going to go anywhere. Why? Because the nation never gives up. And if you have that mentality, we're the right channel for you. Let's go to number 5 here. Players that I need to see on the field more. I want to see them getting a few more extra snaps. And it's Kahlil Chason. I had a lot of people laugh at me when I said, watch out for Chaisson being a solid player for the Raiders because you can say what you want about AP being a head coach. I think AP is a good defensive-minded coach. Patrick Graham is a good defensive-minded coach. I think we have one of the best defensive line coaches in the NFL in Rob Leonard. And Chaisson right now is playing the best football of his career, but he's going to be a free agent in 2025. Malcolm Kuntz suffered a season-ending injury. He's going to be a free agent. The snap counts for Kahlil Chason have increased in 5 straight weeks, from 33 to 36 to 40 to 51 to 54%. I want to see even more out of Kahlil Chason because these are the type of players where sometimes you just need a fresh start. And if you watch the tape, it's starting to click a little bit, and he's starting to get the right momentum. And next to Tyree Wilson, a player that, again, he also has a lot of question marks around him. We know what Max Crosby is, but remember last season how different that defense was when Malcolm was also able to take that next step? The 8 sacks in the 9 games over the final back half of the season. I'm not going to sit up here and expect Kahlil Chason to give you that, but I do know how much extra oomph the Raiders need this offseason, especially being able to get after the quarterback when you're going to end up losing Malcolm. And you got a lot of potential free agents on that defensive side of the football. I don't know how many you're going to be able to bring back. So if you can bring somebody back who's been solid for you and is getting better and better and better, it's somebody that I want to evaluate a little bit more, and somebody that, who knows, maybe you could give a cheap extension to at the end of the season. Because Kahlil Chason, another player that, again, if you just turned on the tape, you'd go, yeah, dang it, he looks pretty darn good. But here's the thing. I don't need to see Janarius Robinson anymore. They've been taking snaps away from him, and a player that, you were kind of hoping was going to be able to get a little bit more juice out of him this offseason. He has started to struggle. Charles Snowden is a good player, but Kahlil Chason just has higher upside. So when you add all of these things into the equation, I think that's why we got to see Chaisson on the field here a little bit more. So the objective of today's show is this. I'm going to give you a bunch of players that I want to see more out of. And it's not like just because that they deserve it because we're trying to win games this season. If anything, I'm sitting here at 2-7 going, well, we got to plan for next season. Which players we need to evaluate now, which helps us plan the most for next season. That's the objective of today's show. So go down in the comments section. You're about to get hit with the YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down, and I want you to name a player who deserves more snaps going forward for the Silver and Black. I can't wait to see a bunch of these names that come out here. I anticipate that we're going to see some receivers. Might even see a Dylan Lowby comment in there. He's not going to make today's show, but the number one player, it's my show. I kind of cheated a little bit, so you're going to have to wait to see what I put there. Let's go to number 4. I'm going to go with the rookie corner, Decamerion Richardson, and you're about to see a common trend of, I want to see our younger players more. Richardson played a career-high 28 snaps against the Bengals, which was 38% of the snaps. Nate Hobbs is a free agent in 2025, and we know how unbelievably talented Nate Hobbs is, but the one red flag on Hobbs is he's injury-prone, and every single year he's been in the NFL, he's had an injury bug issue. I would love to give an extension to a healthy Nate Hobbs. I don't want to give a big-time extension to a slot receiver when you know that he's not 100% healthy. I want to be able to rely on Jack Jones, but when history repeats itself, when you go and look at what Jack Jones has done without Antonio Pierce, he's been a very bad corner in the NFL and in college and everywhere he's played. When he's had Antonio Pierce, he's been a really solid corner. So there's a chance that this offseason, if we lose AP, does Jack Jones go back to being bad? Does Nate Hobbs hit the free agency pool? Does he hit the open market? And now we're sitting here with Decamerion Richardson. We're sitting here with somebody also, like Ja'Cory Bennett. Do we need to invest in cornerbacks a little bit more in the offseason? If I get a better picture of Decamerion, and I know it's a hard picture to paint because you think about how bad Ja'Cory was last season, and you can make the argument that Ja'Cory's been the Raiders' best cornerback this entire season. I want to see more out of Decamerion Richardson on the defensive side of the football, not just on special teams, and I hope that the Raiders start doing it going forward because he's a raw athlete, but damn it, he's a hell of an athlete. I got the top 3 coming up here in just a moment, but if you don't already know, I love Prize Picks, and if you need something to root for this season, believe me, I feel you. Prize Picks is the perfect place to go. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Sign up today. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. PrizePicks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in as less than 60 seconds to turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Now, I'll tell you this right now. I'm not big in the MMA world, but Chugs, my guy, said, Mitch, I think that this one's going to be able to put a little bit of money in your pocket. John Jones, we're going to go less on the fight time, so knockout for Bones Jones, which we'll see if Chandler's there. Is that Bo Nickel? Bo Nickel? I mean, I might put a few nickels on that guy. And then, is that Veronica Corningstone? Veronica Hardy. I mean, I'll tell you this. When we play the whole draft conversation, if you're late in the draft and you got a cool name, I'm down to take it. Though I don't know if I can say that about. You think she hits Hardy. That's what Chug said. So we're going to go less there. You know what? That might be the best analysis I've ever given on Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS code. CLNS Prize Picks. Run your game. Put a little bit of money in your pocket. That link's in the comments and in the description of today's show. Let's go to players who need more snaps. Michael Mayer. I don't know what the situation is, but the Raiders expect Mayer to be back. And he has not played since week 3. And the fact that he hasn't played week 3, the Raiders might try to ease him in a little bit. Here's the thing. If you're a professional athlete and you're a professional football player, I hope that you show up ready to do your job to 100% of your ability. It's your job to do that. So I know that the Raiders did a lot for Mayer, and we still don't have a lot of information. But I need to see if Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers can work together. Because if Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers can't work together, well, then we might have to add another tight end. We might have to add a wide receiver in the offseason. Harrison Bryant, he's going to be a free agent in 2025. And also, when you look at this offense, I almost wonder, can we use Michael Mayer as a tight end and line up Brock Bowers as a wide receiver? That also helps us plan for the future a little bit more, and it helps open up things for Scott Turner. Because last season, Mayer wasn't great, but still was able to show you that he had 27 grabs, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, 19 first downs. And a lot of people amongst the nation are going, Mayer's not that good. He's this, he's that. I'm telling you this right now. Michael Mayer is a good tight end. And this might surprise some people, but what if a lot of the problems with Mayer getting involved in the offense is just due to the fact that Josh McDaniels is a moron, Bo Hardegree and Mick Lombardi can't scheme for shit, and Luke Getsy's a clown? Everything I just said, you're probably like, yep, okay. And yes, again, I believe in Michael Mayer's talent. He was a first-round projected player in my book. Can we figure out a way to use Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer? It's something I want to see more of at the end of the season. Let's go to number 2 here on the list. It's Tommy Ikenberg at linebacker. And Eichenberg is a player that I want to see more of, need to see more of, and I'm going to challenge Eichenberg to be better because he needs to be better when he does get his opportunities. He's played in 18 snaps against the Bengals, which was the most he's played, I think, since probably about 4 or 5 weeks earlier in the season. But the fact that Spillane and Divine Diablo, the top 2 linebackers, the 2 starters for this team, are going to be free agents in 2025, we got to see more out of Eichenberg. They drafted him in the 5th round. I think that they did that because he reminded them of Robert Spillane, a player where it's like, not going to wow you in the athletic department, but going to wow you in the, that guy's just a football player department. And Eichenberg needs to show that he can improve in coverage, a lot like the way Robert Spillane did. But if I'm the Raiders, there's no way in hell I can allow both Diablo and Spillane to hit the open market when I haven't seen Tommy Eichenberg, Amari Burney, Amari Gaynor. A lot of these young linebackers, quite frankly, if you know that you're not going to bring back Diablo, if you know that you're not going to bring back Robert Spillane, you got to start, I think, throwing out the idea of looking at some of these other players. Now, if I got to pick, I still need Spillane out there every single snap, because if you're not going to play Spillane every single snap, then let's just tank for the rest of the season and let's give away tickets for free, because you're just wasting everybody's time. But I do want to see what Tommy Eichenberg and I do want to see what Robert Spillane look like out there on the field, because from an overall talent standpoint, they are very similar at the linebacker position. So we got to be able to figure out, is Tommy Eichenberg a real one? Can he play with Robert Spillane? It needs to happen over the back half of the season. Before I tell you which player needs the most snaps going forward, I got to give a huge shout out to all the real ones out there, and I want you to click that like button. If you think that this season is over and it's important to evaluate talent that can return next season. I know a lot of people are like, Mitch, I don't even like watching the Raiders games anymore on Sunday. I don't even know if I like watching the games anymore on Sunday either. Hell, I had a lot of fun this past Sunday. But the reason why you have to do it is because this is a job that's 365 days out of the year. You need to see which players should we re-sign, which players should we give contract extensions to, which players are playing their best football over the back half of the season. What does Antonio Pierce looks like? If you just don't look at half of a season and only base everything that you're thinking about what you saw the first half, which I would almost say the first half of the season is less important than the second half of the season. I know how frustrating it is, but I need you to click that like button so I know that you're going to be able to pull up to also help me evaluate this team for going forward, because that's the only way that we're going to end up getting better. The player that needs the most snaps going forward is Jackson Powers-Johnson, and I said that I was going to cheat, and I am going to cheat here. I need to see Jackson Powers-Johnson play more snaps at center, and that means even if DAndre James comes back, I don't give a flipping shit. This has got to be JPJ's job for the remainder of the year. If that means DAndre James, who you just gave a 3-year, $24 million extension to, can't see the field, guess what? That's okay. He started 6 games this season, but he needs to start for the rest of the year at center. Even if our overall offensive line is better, let's just say, which it's just not with DAndre at center, even if it was, I still want to see what JPJ looks like at center because he's your long-term answer at center. What does Dylan Parham look like next to JPJ? What does Jordan Meredith look like next to JPJ? What does Thayer Munford look like next to JPJ? What does our offense look like when Jackson Powers-Johnson is at center? Because if you want to draft a Shedeur Sanders, a Cam Ward, a future franchise quarterback, arguably the most important position on the offensive line is center. Sure, you can talk about the blind side, but look how much better the Raiders' O-line has been when this guy's been under center, the thumper that he is, the type of energy that he brings. I want to see Jackson Powers-Johnson every single snap at center. Every single snap at center. And if they don't do it, shame on the coaching staff, because if they don't do it, then that tells me even more that they have absolutely positively no idea what the hell they're doing. So if you want to take a screenshot of my top 6 players that I want to see get more snaps going forward, please don't be afraid to tag me on IG and on Twitter. And if you made it this far in the video, give me an extra name of a player that you want to see more of going forward.